Hello and welcome to today's edition of Daf Yomi, doing Bekhorot Daf 10 Omadi. Let's dive straight in. Hache b'mai askinan kegon shechoto lehis lamed bo uviglugta de nimos Rabbi Eliezer. The Gemara answers, here are we dealing with a case. The Gemara answers, here we are dealing with a case where he slaughtered the firstborn donkey in order to teach himself. What does that mean? Rashi explains that if he slaughtered the donkey in order to eat it, even without specifying a reason, even Rabbi Shimon would agree that the donkey is defined as food. Then slaughtered by a Jew generally renders an animal susceptible to impurity, as if he had intended that the animal would become food. But if he explicitly slaughtered it to teach himself how to slaughter it properly, Rabbi Shimon holds that this is equivalent to breaking the neck. According to the rabbis, though, since the act of slaughtering did occur, the principle of the prohibition to eat it serves as intent to treat it as food can still be applied. And we go to Hagola explains that according to Rabbi, the principle that its prohibition serves as intent to treat it as food is entirely incorrect, as Rabbi mentioned previously. Instead, Rabbi Gershom Hagola offers the opposite interpretation. In a case where the donkey's neck is broken, Rabbi Shimon agrees that the rabbis that no intent is necessary in order for the donkey to become susceptible to impurity. The reason is that the stage of breaking the neck in this case is analogous to standard slaughter, which renders the animal susceptible to impurity even without intent. Rabbi Shimon's opinion that it is not susceptible to impurity is applicable only in a case where the slaughtered with the explicit intention that it would not be used as food. The rabbis, by contrast, hold that such a slaughter would still render the animal susceptible to impurity. How to properly slaughter an animal not in order to eat it. In this case, Rabbi Shimon and the rabbis disagree whether the prohibition against the Jews consuming it serves as intent that it be treated as food. And they disagree with regard to the issue that is a subject of dispute between Nimos and Rabbi Eliezer. Nimos. As is taught in a Braita, the Rabbi Yossi says, Nimus, the brother of Rabbi Yeshua Hagalsi, and who's that? So we look at the personality note. Nimus Achiv Shel Rabbi Yeshua Hagalsi. Very little is known about Nimus, whose full name was apparently Onomius, taken from the Greek word onomeos, and shortened to Nimus. In the Tosefta, the name is written as Onimis. With regard to Rabbi Yeshua Hagalsi, it is known that he was a student of Rabbi Akiva, and when Rabbi Akiva was imprisoned, Rabbi Yeshua attended to him. He was with Rabbi Akiva at the time of his death, and attended to his burial as well, for which he was rewarded by Elijah the prophet revealing himself to him. All that remains of his statements is one response to the claim of a heretic. Once related to me that in the case of one who slaughters a crow, in order to teach himself how to slaughter a bird properly, his blood renders other foods susceptible. So what's a footnote? The halacha is not in accordance with any of these opinions, as the rabbis disagree with Rabbi Eliezer and hold that the blood of non-kosher animals does not render other foods susceptible to impurity. See Makshirin 6:7. Purity, as blood is one of the 7 liquids that is capable of rendering food susceptible to impurity. Rabbi Eliezer says, the blood that comes from the slaughter of an animal always renders food susceptible to impurity. The Gemara asks, and in the statement of Rabbi Eliezer, identical to the statement of the first Tana, Nemos, both hold that the blood of slaughter renders food susceptible to impurity. Rather, isn't the difference between them with regard to whether concerning the crow, its prohibition serves as its intent, that it should be used as food? Accordingly, the first Tana holds that the prohibition against consuming a crow does not render it a food. Therefore, its blood renders foods in general susceptible to impurity, but to render the crow itself a food, intent to eat it is also required, as people do not generally consume the meat of crows. And Rabbi Eliezer comes to say that the blood of slaughter always renders other foods susceptible to impurity, and even with regard to the crow itself, intent to consume it is not required, as he holds that this prohibition serves as intent to consume it. Likewise, Rabbi Shimon and the rabbis disagree with regard to the firstborn donkey, in the case where it's slaughtered only in order to teach oneself how to slaughter it properly. According to Rabbi Shimon, intent to eat it is required in order to render it susceptible to the impurity of food, while according to the rabbis, the prohibition to eat it in this case serves as intent for it to be used as food. The Gemara responds, from where is it inferred that the dispute between Nimas and Rabbi Elazar is with regard to this issue? That was the reason for the opinion of Rabbi Elazar is that a crow is different, since there are some indicators of a kosher bird. Shnei Orev Hoel v'yesh bo simane tahara. Excuse me. As the Gemara Chonin 61b states, the crow has 2 of the 4 indicators of kosher birds mentioned by the sages. The commentaries dispute which 2 indicators are referred to. Some say that the crow does not prey on its food and has an extra finger, while others suggest that it has an extra finger on its gizzard peels, and it is therefore considered food. By contrast, with regard to a donkey, which has no indicator of a kosher animal, slaughtering it in order to learn to slaughter it properly does not render it food. Gemara presents support for this explanation. And from where do we derive that the indicators of a kosher animal are considered a significant matter in the impurity of food? As a brighter teacher with regard to the mission cited in 10a, the Rabbi Shimon says, what is the reason that the meat of the camel, hare, rock badger, and pig are automatically susceptible to impurity of food without any other conditions? It's because they have some indicators of kosher animals. And if you would say that the meat of a crow is susceptible to the impurity of food because of its kosher indicators, why do Rabbi Elazar and Nimas specifically disagree in the case where it was slaughtered in order to teach oneself how to slaughter properly? Even if the one who slaughtered it acted unawares, Rabbi Elazar holds that its flesh should be susceptible to impurity. The response would be that yes, this is indeed so according to Rabbi Elazar, and they would disagree in this case because of the opinion of Nimas, who holds that even where one slaughtered the crow intentionally, if he slaughtered in order to teach himself how to slaughter properly, the crow is not susceptible to impurity. The Gemara raised an objection from a bite to the opinion of Rabbah, who holds that even according to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, it is prohibited to derive benefit from a firstborn donkey following the breaking of its neck. If one does not want to redeem, if the owner does not wish to redeem a firstborn donkey, he must behead it. He may not kill it with a stick, a reed, an axe, or a saw, but only with a cleaver. In addition, he may not bring it into a room and close the door, forcing it to remain inside until it dies. This ruling is in accordance with the Braita. That's the Ram Sefer, the Ryan Hilchot Bekhorot 12:7, Shulchan Aruch Yodeh 21:11. And his firstborn donkey with a lamb, he breaks the donkey's neck from behind with a cleaver. So what's the footnote? There's a little picture here of an Egyptian cleaver from the 2nd millennium BCE. A colt fits a cleaver and buries the donkey, and it is prohibited to derive benefit from the donkey. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon deemed it permitted for one to derive benefit from the donkey. The Gemara responds, say the Braita means that while the donkey is still alive, it's prohibited to derive benefit from it. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Shimon deems it permitted. Perhaps Rabbi Shimon agrees that following the breaking of its neck, it is prohibited to derive benefit from it. The Gemara challenges, but from the fact that the latter clause of the Braita is referring to the prohibition to derive benefit while the donkey is alive, it is apparent that the first clause, due to which this objection was raised, is not referring to deriving benefit while it is still alive. As the latter clause teaches, one may not kill the firstborn donkey with a reed, nor with a sickle, nor with an axe, nor with a saw, nor may one put it in a room and close the door so it will die from starvation. These are not the manners of killing the animal mandated by the Torah, which requires one to break its neck. And shearing the donkey or using it for labor is prohibited. What's the footnote? V'asa b'giza v'avoda. It's prohibited to work a firstborn donkey or shear it in order to derive benefit from its hair prior to its redemption. If its hair was messy or there was a wound on the hair, it is permitted to shear it for the good of the donkey itself, but the hair is still forbidden and should therefore be buried. Its ruling is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, as explained by the Gemara in Shulchan Aruch Yodeh 3:21-9. See the Borah there. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. and Rabbi Shimon deems it permitted to shear it and to perform labor with it. Since the latter clause mentions the prohibition against shearing and working the animal, which applies only when the animal is still alive, the first clause must be referring to a case where the animal was already dead. The Gemara responds, the first clause and last clause are both referring to a case where the animal is alive, but the first clause is referring to the prohibition against deriving benefit from its value. So what does that mean? Hanas Damov. It's permitted to derive benefit from a firstborn donkey until it is redeemed. If it was sold prior to being redeemed, the money received for it is forbidden. This is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, explained by the Gemara. This applies only when it is sold without its status being specified, but if the seller informed the purchaser that it was a firstborn donkey, and it was sold for the sake of that portion of its value, which is greater than that of the lamb used to redeem it, the money is permitted. In fact, it is even permitted to sell it in this manner, Abba Nisha. Rambam Sefer Zerayim, Hilchot Bekum 12:4, Shulchan Aruch Yodei 21:8, by renting or selling it, while the latter clause is referring to deriving benefit from the animal itself by shearing or performing labor with it. So what's a footnote? Hanas Gufo, deriving benefit from the animal itself. The Rosh emphasizes that the prohibitions mentioned here of shearing and working for a donkey are classified as prohibition of deriving benefit. By contrast, the prohibition against working or shearing a firstborn kosher animal, see Deuteronomy 15:19, applies even if no benefit derived from the wool. See 24b. The reason that a firstborn kosher animal has inherent sanctity and is therefore offered on the altar, and the sages decree that the same applies to sacrificial animals that developed a blemish and were redeemed, as their value has sanctity. See 25a. A firstborn donkey has no sanctity, just a forbidden status, and the value of its redemption does not assume consecrated status but remains non-sacred. And that's from the Merome Sada. And it is necessary to state the dispute between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon in both cases. As had the Tana taught only the case of deriving benefit from its value, one would think that in that case Rabbi Shimon deemed deriving benefit permitted. In the case of deriving benefit from the donkey itself, say that Rabbi Shimon concedes to Rabbi Yehuda that it is forbidden. And had the Tana taught only the case of deriving benefit from the animal itself, one would think that in that case Rabbi Yehuda deems deriving benefit forbidden. But in the case of deriving benefit from its value, say that he concedes to Rabbi Shimon. Therefore, it is necessary to teach the dispute in both instances. The Gemara cites an additional Amor who agreed with Rabbah, and similarly Rav Nachman says that Rabbah Ba'avu, this is in Hebrew, Avu, says Rabbi Shimon concedes that after breaking the donkey's neck, it is prohibited to derive benefit from it. And Rav Nachman said, from where do I say it? As is taught in a Braita that the Torah states, and if you do not redeem it, then you shall break its neck. Exodus 13:13. The expression of breaking the neck is stated here. The expression of breaking the neck is stated there with regard to the heifer whose neck is broken. Deuteronomy 21:4. Just as there in the case of the heifer whose neck is broken, it's prohibited to derive benefit from it following the ceremony. So too here it's prohibited to derive benefit from the firstborn donkey following the breaking of its neck. The Gemara clarifies. Who is the Tana cited in this Braita? If we say that it is Rabbi Yehuda, that is difficult, as you hold that it is already prohibited to derive benefit from a firstborn donkey while it is still alive. Why then would the verse need to forbid it again following the breaking of its neck? Rather, is it not the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, indicating that he concedes that deriving benefit from the donkey is prohibited following the breaking of its neck? Rishesha said to Rav Nachman. Safri, your colleague, interpreted it as follows. Actually, Rabbi Yehuda is the Tana cited, and it was necessary for the verse to prohibit deriving benefit after the donkey's death as well, as it might enter your mind to say that breaking the neck stands in place of redeeming the donkey, as it is stated, and if you do not redeem it, then you shall break its neck, Exodus 13:13. Therefore, it could be claimed that just as redemption permits one to derive benefit from the firstborn donkey, so too breaking the neck permits one to derive benefit from it. Therefore, the verse teaches us that breaking it does not permit one to derive benefit from it. Rav Nachman said, from where do I say that Rabbi Shimon holds it is prohibited to derive benefit from a firstborn donkey following the breaking of its neck? I say it from that which Levi teaches in a Braita with regard to the reason the Torah commands that the donkey's neck be broken. He, the owner, caused a loss of the money of a priest by not giving him a lamb in exchange for the donkey. Therefore, his money shall also be lost. The more clarifies whose opinion is followed in the Braita. If we say this opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, the donkey's monetary value is already lost, and it was already permitted to derive benefit from it while it was alive. Rather, is it not the opinion of Rabbi Shimon? This indicates that breaking the neck of the donkey renders deriving benefit from a prohibited. The Gemara responds, if you would say the Braita followed the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and if you would say instead that it followed the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, even if he hold that it is permitted to derive benefit from the firstborn donkey after his neck is broken, the Gemara explains, if you would say the Braita follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, and it is referring to the loss of difference between the value of the donkey while it is alive, and the value of the lamb given as redemption to the priest, which is less than that of the donkey. This value, which the owner would have gained had he redeemed the donkey, is lost once the donkey is not redeemed. If you wish to say instead it is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, and although he permits to derive benefit from the donkey after breaking his neck, it is nevertheless a depreciation of value caused by the death of the animal, as a dead donkey is worth less than a live one. The Gemara comments, and Reish Lakish similarly says that Rabbi Shimon concedes that deriving benefit from a firstborn donkey after breaking the neck is prohibited, according to the statement of Rabbi and Rabbi Nachman. But Rabbi Yochanan and some say Rabbi Elazar says the matter is still subject to dispute. I.e., Rabbi Shimon disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda that even after the death of the firstborn donkey, and permits deriving benefit from it even then. We're going to have to stop here. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best. Bye.